What's up, all you doodles and doodlers out there, you schemers and dreamers, and welcome back to another episode of Doodle Talk. This is episode 17, and just right off the bat, I'm going to apologize in advance because there's like some renovation going on around my apartment building, and I'm really sorry. I tried to pick the best time I could when they weren't being super loud, but if there are some like construction sounds and stuff going on in this, I apologize. It is a Saturday. It's April 1st. This is not an April Fool's joke, but I guess they're trying to knock it out as quick as possible. They've been going ham for the past couple of days, and since I work from home, it's been pretty miserable. But yeah, if you do hear some things, I'll try and cut around it if I can, but if you do hear some stuff in the background, I'm really sorry. But moving on from that, just jumping into what I've been up to recently. Not too much. There were some new stuff that I put out. I put out a funny little video called The Artist, or The Artiste, which was really fun to make, and it's just a quick little short funny video about a really talented artist and the people they interviewed talking about him and his beautiful art. So if you haven't checked that out, check it out. I got Asami begrudgingly, sort of, I got Asami to play a part in it, so you get a cool little, there's a little Japanese feature in there as well. I put the subtitles up for what she was saying. I don't know. I just think it's really funny if you have something like that and then all of a sudden there's just like Japanese person speaking Japanese. Just like totally out of left field. I like the video. I like it. It's pretty cool. I think it turned out pretty funny, and I have some other ideas for stuff like that, so keep an eye out for that. And then another video that should be out by the time this comes out is the first of like a series that I'm going to be working on. It's like a Pokemon mashup series, and I got the idea. Oh man. I mean, I've seen some stuff like this all over, like, you know, Instagram and stuff online. But there's one, I'm sorry, it's like Keegan Evans or something. I'll try and give him a shout out. But he's like a photographer, like a film, you know, he's a video creator and a director, I guess. I think he's kind of likes to make like commercials and stuff. So this is a brilliant idea, and feel free to use this in something if you want, if it's like pertains to you. Because, you know, lots of people have done this kind of idea. It's not really like, and the way I'm doing it is totally different, so it's great. It's great when you see an artist or somebody do something that's in a style or like a genre, a field that you're not in, and then you're like, oh, I can just take that and apply it, and it's really nice because it's like, you know, you're not stealing anything. It's just an idea, like a way of doing something. But it's like he has like a product and then a theme or a genre, so it'll be like, I got this like skincare cream, and I'm gonna do it as a horror. I'm gonna make a commercial. So it's basically like just creating a lot of amazing pieces for his own portfolio that he could like then shop around to other like agencies or companies that like want him to make a commercial for them, which is like genius. It's such a good idea. And I just had this idea. I was talking to one of my friends too about it as well, and shout out Tim. I see you, Tim. But yeah, like I had this idea of like take a Pokemon and match it up with like a theme or a style. And I mean, there's, you know, Pokemon's been done 100 bajillion ways. There was another one, a cool one recently that I saw that was like a state, like what, like if your state in America had like a starter and then like the 3 evolutions, super cool. The Texas one was really cool. But yeah, I hadn't really seen anyone do exactly this. I'm sure it might be out there, but I haven't seen it yet, where it's like I wrote down names, a bunch of names on like paper and stuff. Like these are all like the themes, and then like the Pokemon names. And I picked some like kind of just generic, easily recognizable, not too difficult to draw Pokemon 10. Put them in a bowl. Put the 10 themes in a bowl, and pulled out like the first one is I got Slowpoke and then Yokai, like Japanese yokai, which was awesome. And just put a little video together, because so I made a Slowpoke as like a kappa, which is a type of yokai. It's kind of like it looks like a turtle yokai, alien turtle kind of thing, and they live in the swamps, and it's an old, like, it's yokai are like Japanese folklore essentially, and a lot of them kind of get into like horror territory, where it's kind of like if you do this, the monster will come out from under your bed and eat your feet or something like that, right? But not all of them. Actually, a lot of them are just like spirits or like old like gods and stuff. Like the fox, like kitsune and tanuki. I didn't even know this, but I guess technically tanuki are also like yokai. They're obviously real animals, but like the yokai version of them is considered a yokai. Like the spirits of them, I guess. Yeah, but I did a slowpoke as a kappa version and just put the time lapse up. I'm thinking of different ways to edit it and stuff, so just trying a bunch of stuff out. But I had a lot of fun. I think it turned out really cool too. Slowpoke and kappa is like a perfect combination because it's already kind of like Slowpoke was in the water, you know, so I wanted to do a yokai that like normally dwells in the water, or like they have similarities. And it was a lot of fun. I think it turned out great, so please check that out. And I have a bunch of other ones that will be coming out. This is gonna be like a little series that I'm gonna try and do as a way to kind of expand the shorter form content and hopefully get some more reach through doing that, because a lot of the times when you make the longer videos and stuff like that, it's just harder to get people to watch them, and it's harder to get people to watch them all the way through. So I'm trying to be a little bit more efficient with everything. That's about it though, so please go check those out, and yeah, should be cool. And then so today, kind of going off of the past few weeks, the topics for the Doodle Talks that I've been doing has just been kind of something that's been on my mind recently for like when I'm about to do the Doodle Talk. And this is a little bit related to like last week. So I've been on a really good streak of like drawing a lot and animating a lot, and I had this really cool, I finally had this, like, it all started to come together for this project that I wanted to start making. And it's about, I don't know exactly, it's going to be like kind of a multimedia kind of thing, but I knew that I wanted to have like a short little animation for the like intro of the story and some of the characters. And it's called Doodle Island, is like the world, right? That's like kind of the universe that I'm making. And I just had this idea. I finally settled on some like character designs, and I storyboarded out this little, I'm not finished yet, but it's probably going to be around 30 seconds, less than a minute. Just like a quick little, like a few cuts, and then it's gonna go into the intro, almost like it's like a pseudo like theme, opening theme for like a cartoon show or something like that. And definitely heavily inspired by Adventure Time. I think Adventure Time, it's like I've rediscovered Adventure Time in the past like month or two, and I talked about it last week on just being inspired and finally nailing some character designs by like kind of studying some of those characters and just settling on something and really just going for it, and you know, borrowing a lot of stuff from Adventure Time but trying to interject my own style and at the same time, and not being worried about like, okay, this is something I've settled on for now, let's just keep going. Like, it can change over time, that's good, that's perfect, just keep going. And that kind of leads me into the topic for today, because last time it was like last week or two I was feeling like, okay, I'm drawing more, I'm finally feeling like this, now I need to just go for it. And now I'm in the middle of it where it's like I literally have like it's like almost halfway, probably I've almost halfway done with this like little animation, and it's been over like, you know, 3 or 4 days of like sitting down, like actual hard work. And what I wanted to kind of talk about today is like pushing your limits to get better faster and create more, like just end up creating more in general. And I just really think that like getting out of your comfort zone and just going for it, even if you're not ready, is so important. And you know, I've talked about it on here, like don't wait, just start, right? It's a huge thing that I constantly tell myself and try my best to stick to. But man, it's like when you are actually sitting down and doing it, it just feels so good. And this like kind of specification I wanted to kind of like harp on a little bit today is like, don't wait, just start is great. But the other thing you kind of got to do is like always keep yourself trying things that are like one step outside of your own boundary of what you think you can do, what you think you're capable of artistically. Because that's one thing I've just realized this past week while I was working on this little animation is like, I sat down, I storyboarded it out. I knew the beats, I knew the cuts, I knew what I wanted for the most part. I left some wiggle room for little things that if I wanted to change while I was making it. But there are a ton of things where I was just like, I don't know how I'm gonna do this. I don't know how this is gonna work. And instead of like, because this is one of my biggest problems, is when I get to that point, that's when I stop and I go, all right, let me just do some tests. Let me go work on something else while I think about it. Let me do this. But instead, this time I just forced myself to like, no, you're going to find a solution immediately by trying things out like on the actual project that you're working on. And it freaking works. It works every time. And like, this is just me sitting here trying to tell you, like, if you're stuck on something or you think like it's like when I don't like take like Avatar, not the last Airbender, but like the blue guys, and like, you know, James Cameron is like, we have to wait for the technology. Like, I know what I want to do, we have to wait for the technology. It's like, I kind of think about it like that sometimes, or it's like, that's an actual excuse. If it's like, I literally have everything made like in my mind or like written down, I just need like the technology to catch up. This, to me, it feels like I make that excuse to myself sometimes, where it's like, it's not the technology, it's like, oh, my skill level isn't there, or I don't know how to do this. Like, one thing that I had so much fun doing this past week was like, the opening scene for this little animation is like a shot of the sky with the clouds, which is like, I kept everything simple to where like the backgrounds and stuff aren't going to take me a long time to draw. I love drawing clouds, so I like picked things that I like drawing. But I knew I wanted to just kind of like zoom in or like do some kind of camera work, and I'm working in Clip Studio Paint, and there's a pretty intuitive like, you can get complicated with some of your camera movements in Clip Studio, but I've only done like some panning, which isn't really even technically the camera. It's normally just like you're putting 2 keyframes on the timeline and it's just sliding across from point A to point B, and it's like you're automating a like sliding movement, right? Which is not that complicated. It's really easy to do, and it's really great. It's really simple and easy to do, but I hadn't really messed with a lot of camera movements. And like the first shot is like you have the sky, and then it just zooms in like past through the clouds, or what looks like it's passed through the clouds, and goes into the blue like sky behind it. And I didn't know how to do it, and I looked up a few tutorials online. There's some good stuff out there, so make sure to always do that too if you're just unsure. That should be the first step, really. And then I went in and I did it, and it looked cool. It looked so cool. It was like, because this is the beautiful thing about this too, is like when you're stepping outside of your comfort zone, you're gonna do things that you're not used to doing. And while like the first couple tries at it, right, the results are normally not like amazing. You know, you're not always gonna get something cool. It could be terrible that you gotta tweak a lot, but sometimes you get lucky like this, where it's like, I figured it out pretty quickly. I knew what I wanted to do, like, so the idea was there. I just needed to implement it, and like I did it, and I was like, oh my god, it looks cool. It's like that's also the beauty of animation, is like you sit there, you're drawing still images for like forever, and when you press play and you see your drawings move, like, oh my god, it's something so amazing about animation, where it's just like, especially when you're the one who did it. Like, I sat down and I drew that. That is so crazy. Like, that's so awesome. Because if you can appreciate animation, it's one thing for someone else animating, and you're like, damn, that's so cool. I'm glad that's cool they do that. I can understand the intricacies. But when it's you doing it, and it's like, oh my god, like it zooms in, it goes past the clouds, like that's so cool. It's just another level. It's just another level of like being able to appreciate that type of thing. And that's just going off of that, right? Like, so I did that, I got that going, it looks cool, and then that gets me in the mood where I'm like, I want to see what happens next. It's almost like when you get yourself into this mindset, I was able to shift, and this is why I wanted to talk about this today, is because it's still very fresh and I'm still in the middle of it right now. I was like, I know what I'm making. I planned everything out, but it's like I woke up, like today I woke up and I was like, I want to work on that because I want to see where it's gonna go. It's like when you start taking chances with things and you start creating an actual like story or a project, whether it's a comic, an animation, I don't know, just a drawing, a little short video. This doesn't have to just be with like, drawing itself, right? When you start making those things, it's like they take on a life of their own, and you're just trying to keep it going. You're just trying to push it and see what happens next. So I'm like, oh, I want to see what it looks like when I do this. And yes, there are moments where it's like I've established, maybe because like one part I'm at right now is I have the shot for this one scene, is this one cut, it's a shot, and I know I need to like animate this girl has like a cape moving and her hair and stuff, and like I know I'm about to hit some of the grinding aspect where it's just like sitting down and animating some of the like less fun for something, like doing the work to actually make the animation happen. It's not all just roses and oh my god, that worked perfectly first try, and this is so much cooler than I thought. Like there are already parts where I'm like, oh, that might not work, or like, oh, this isn't working the way I want. But the good thing is that I'm still motivated to like keep going, right? And the more I work on it, the more it makes me want to work on it more and more, even further, right? And this is a space that I haven't been in a while, because I kind of stopped doing larger projects for a minute, no comics or anything, trying to do some like artistic soul searching and like figure out what I want to do. I knew I wanted to start YouTube stuff too, so that was always there in the background, and it was kind of like too many things all at once, where I was just like incrementally getting better at this and that and trying to find styles that I liked, blah blah blah, etc. And I kind of forgot what it felt like to just like sit down, hunker down on a demanding project, because this is going to be pretty short and I'm trying to do it as quickly as possible. But yeah, and I'm doing like the music and sound design for it too. So it's just like everything that I like that I should have just been doing for a while now. I should have been trying to do more stuff like this, and just realizing that and being like, man, this is like, I'm motivating myself by just stepping out of my comfort zone, stepping out of the things that I normally know that I can do. And that's the only way you're gonna grow at a faster pace, because you can still get better, right? If you're just practicing the same types of things every day, and if you're consistent. Like I didn't get worse over the past year or two, but I now see that like, damn, if I had just been pushing myself a little bit further, not even harder necessarily, if I had just been pushing myself a little bit further outside of my comfort zone, I would have been getting better and just getting new experiences at a much faster rate. And I think that's just, it's really important, and it's something that you may not even be able to realize until you're in the middle of it, working on a project like this, where you're like, damn, like I'm learning so much and just trying things out on my own. And just creating things, I think, is so important. Going back to, because I've been studying a bunch of Adventure Time stuff, and Pendleton Ward, the creator, is just really awesome. And I wanted to like pick his brain a little bit, so I've been watching some like interviews and stuff. And he's not a very sociable, like on-screen kind of guy. He even like admits that outright. So there's not a whole lot of like footage of him talking and stuff. But there was this one. I think it was one of the writers in Penn, and he was talking about like, yeah, I get these emails from people who love the show and they have ideas for characters and stuff like that, and they send me like requests to come on the show, or like to voice act, or to work on character designs or something. And he said, like, sorry, I'm kind of paraphrasing this, but he was like, but those people often don't have things to show me. Or if I ask them like, well, what have you worked on, or like, show me something you've done, it's like either super limited or zero. It's just like the idea that they have, they're like, trust me, I can do it. And while I understand that sentiment, he made a really good point where he was like, I'd much rather somebody say like, hey, I really love your stuff, look at something I made, like, this is what I've done, maybe could I do XYZ, I mean, normally you're probably not reaching out to the showrunner or the creator of a show in order to do that anyway, but I guess this is kind of a specific situation. And he just really made a solid point where it's like, you should make something first and then show it to me. Then I can see your artistic vision or your worth, or like what you could bring to the table. And then we could go from there. And he was like, I'd appreciate it more for people to do that instead of just being like, I have XYZ idea, let me do this, or like, give me a chance, right? And I kind of just, that was really cool, a really cool insight. And I kind of extrapolated from that to being like, yeah, it's right. He's right? Because it's like, you really need to be able to just like you need to work on stuff. You got to like make things. And even if it's shitty, you just got to keep making things and step out of your comfort zone. Because the one like caveat, or the one like extra thing I would add on top of that is like, have stuff that you've done and like show people that you're stepping out of your comfort zone. Because yeah, maybe the first or second time you make something like that, it may not be the most impressive thing ever, but then you go 6 months down the line, a year down the line, and you're all of a sudden like really good at that thing because you took that chance and you stepped out of your comfort zone for a little while and you failed for a little while. And then now you're at the point where it's like, because you did that, you're like, maybe you went leaps and bounds beyond like other people who are like stuck in their ways or stuff like that. And I'm not hating on anyone who's like not taking chances. If you're safe doing what you want to do and you're just like, I don't have any interest in doing anything that's like too crazy outside of my comfort zone, I totally understand that. That's fine too. But just while I have this momentum of this feeling going, I wanted to like express it as well as I could. Hopefully it got through to you a little bit. Push yourself out of your comfort zones. It's going to do a world of wonders for you, and it's going to make you better. And at the very least, you're going to fail. You're going to improve because you failed. And hopefully you'll have learned something and had fun trying, right? So like the worst case scenario is not that bad. So there's no reason not to try, and just go out of your comfort zone. So that's it for me today. Trying to keep these short still, sort of succeeding. But yeah, thanks for listening, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.